Good afternoon. Welcome to the Wednesday afternoon conference call with Trusts Unlimited. This is Jim George speaking. I'm the non-attorney spokesman and facilitator for Trusts Unlimited, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this call, particularly those of you calling in for the first time and those that will be listening to the replay over the next 24 to 48 hours. This will be a little shorter call today, but if you are calling in for the first time, if you'd be kind enough to listen to today's call and then go to our call of either March 23rd and or March 30th, you will get a lot more information, particularly about the program we've put in place to assist you. But I got some other things I want to talk about today. It's a mixed bag, but we are still, in my opinion, moving in the right direction. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the situation that's evolving in Iraq. First, by way of disclaimer, Trusts Unlimited is not the purveyor of the dinar and these other currencies. We're not advocating either the sale or purchase of these currencies, but as rather substantial currency holders ourselves, we're sharing with you information we believe to be relevant. Of course, the most relevant piece of information would be the window for the potential reinstitution and revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. As I've said over the last couple of weeks, the first 6 weeks, even 6 to 8 weeks within a given quarter is the best time for a reinstitution and revaluation of the currency, because that allows us time to hold the currency if it comes out at a low float. It also gives us enough time to compel the IRS to confirm in writing the sections of the code that pertain to the taxation of the revaluation. So as we are in April, we're at the beginning of the second quarter, which means that if we see a reinstitution anytime between now and, say, May 15th or even June 1st, we don't have to worry about taxes until July 15th. So, again, that gives us time to hold the currencies for a few weeks if necessary, and it also gives us time, once again, to compel the IRS to confirm the actual tax status of the revaluation itself. But let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Iraq, because it's a little chaotic. I think we could have predicted that something like this would happen, particularly those of us that have been involved in this for any length of time. It's just the Keystone cops over there sometimes, and they always find a way to complicate something that should be relatively simple. Now, what I'm talking about here is the formation of the new government. I do not believe that the formation of the new government is an absolute essential for the reinstitution of the currency, but it's probably something that would make the reinstitution much more likely. We are today, March 6th, at the end, the deadline for the formation of the new government. So theoretically, constitutionally, the parliament is at risk of being dissolved, because according to the Constitution, by this day, they needed to select and appoint the Speaker of the House of Representatives along with his first and second deputy. That has not occurred. Now, there are a lot of reasons for this. Problem number one, the complexity of the parliamentary system in general. That complexity is even worse in Iraq because they've created an incredibly complex parliamentary protocol and system. Add to that all of the sectarian and tribal issues that exist in Iraq as well. So for all of these reasons, it's hard to believe that they can do anything on a timely basis. Problem number two, while the Sadrists are in fact the largest single bloc, the coalition framework is a loose coalition between the moderate and more radical Shia factions, which collectively do have more votes than the Sadrists. So the Sadrists are being practical about this. Some people think that they have relented, but they've done the math, and so they've said, okay, we will give the coalition framework 40 days to form their new government. Problem number 3. This entire process beyond the 6th of April is extra-constitutional. Now, they have in the past, when all are somewhat in agreement, sort of looked the other way when they've technically not complied with the constitutionality of a given action. So we'll just have to wait and see what they're going to do. But after today, technically, what they're doing is extra-constitutional. But having thrown up all of those obstacles and roadblocks, there are some things that we need to look at on the positive side. On the other hand, we have a window for the reinstitution and revaluation, arguably all the way to June 1st, where we can do our exchange in an orderly fashion and confirm what the tax status of the revaluation is. We know that while they do not have a new government, at least the people that are currently in place and represent the caretaker government are not only good people, probably better people that are going to end up in the new government. It's also unlikely at this point, since we've now entered Ramadan, an argument can be made that they wouldn't reinstitute the currency till after Ramadan anyway. So that being the case, the fact that the new government's not in place doesn't necessarily mean that the reinstitution was stopped solely on that basis. And at the end of the day, it's the CBI that will decide when the exchange rate will change and what it'll be. In fact, there was recently, as you know, litigation brought to the Supreme Court, and all they wanted was the change of the rate from the old $14.50 down to $11.90, and the court basically declined to hear the case, meaning once again that this is in the hands of the CBI. So while we would have preferred to see the new government in place and to proceed, we're still in a good position for the reinstitution and the revaluation in this quarter. Now, one other thing I do want to mention, and that has to do, and I mentioned this before, with the new digital currencies that the G7 nations are pushing. Now, we've been marketing our trust for over a decade and giving individuals all the reasons why they need to establish this trust package prior to the revaluation of these currencies. But in the general sense, the same principles would apply for any asset that you expect there to be a substantial increase in value. You want to get it out of title and into a trust before it appreciates. But given the political and economic environment that we find ourselves in today, the establishment of this trust package is going to be the difference between success and failure in the future. And I don't think I'm understating the facts at all. What the G7 nations are attempting to do is to create a new central bank digital currency they refer to as a CBDC. The basis for establishing this, according to them, is for safety. Now, I don't know about you, but anytime the government knocks on my door and says we're going to do something for your own good, my heart skips a beat. Now, let's take a look at the safety factor here. We know that digital information can be hacked. We know that if there were ever to be a war, even if it's a small regional war, the first weapon fired will be something called an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse weapon, that will wipe out all digital information. And third, we see what happened in Canada when truckers tried to have a peaceful protest. What did they do? They shut down their bank accounts. But in order to do that, they had to contact the banks and convince them to cooperate. With a digital currency, that's run directly from the central bank of every given government. So the banks would be out of the equation. They'd literally only have to flip a switch. So the safety issue is just a lie, period. It's a lie. But there's a lot more that will be affected by a digital currency. I'm going to explain this here, but before I do, I want to make this other point that I discussed on other calls. The move to a digital currency is just another reason for us to transition as much as our wealth as possible into tangible assets, and further, to transfer those assets to a trust product like ours where we retain our privacy, where we retain our asset protection, and where it becomes extremely difficult for the government to intrude into our affairs, especially as an American citizen with your Fourth Amendment rights, the due process protection of all of your papers and your private affairs. So by utilizing these trusts, you are the individuals that are making it the most difficult for the government to do what they want to do, which is to surveil you and to control you. Now, the creation of the digital currency means they're going to be replacing hard paper fiat currency with a digital currency. Now, traditionally, what individuals do is they purchase goods and services in exchange for their currency. Now, that currency may be in a checking account, or it may be on using your ATM card, or it may be money in your wallet. But with a digital currency, you will not possess in your hands the currency. It will be digitized. It will be in the possession of the central bank. So every time you make a purchase, there'll be a third party involved, the central bank, that will conduct the transaction. In addition, these digital currencies are programmable. That means that your ability to transact, to conduct business, at the end of the day will be determined by them. In other words, they will know how much gas you put in your car. They will know how many products you purchased that are on their limitation list. So because this is a voucher system, when you go to purchase goods or services with your digital currency, it will still be at the end of the day dependent upon, at least loosely, a credit score system where they can okay. In other words, it's no longer, yes, the money's in your account. Here's your ATM card. The money's in your account so you can purchase these $100 worth of groceries. No, it's going to be, yes, you have the digital money in your account, but pursuant to limitations on your account, you can purchase certain things, you cannot purchase other things. So they've moved from currency to a voucher. That's the direction we're going. The reason I bring all of this up is that I'm trying to make you understand why it's important that you transition as much of your wealth into tangible assets and out of currencies altogether to limit their control of your decisions. And because these assets are, again, within and housed within your trust, it makes it extremely difficult for the government to pierce that trust. There are legal protections in the Constitution. So they can create a digital currency if they want, but they cannot take away your privacy or the protection that you enjoy constitutionally by establishing your trust package. So this is the information I wanted to provide for today. Again, we're looking at a window from now until May 15th and arguably all the way to June 1st for a reinstitution. And because, again, the CBI is in control of the exchange rate, and because, again, even the fact that they have not placed a new government through the parliament, they still have the caretaker government, which are the individuals that are most likely, in my opinion, to assist to proceed with the reinstitution of the dinar country. We're still in a pretty good place. Now, for those of you calling us for the first time, I would strongly suggest you contact us to get our initial no-obligation package. It does contain everything you need if you do wish to proceed with the establishment of your own trust package, but it's got a lot of information about us, about the currencies, about the revaluation. You can review the information. Contact us if you have any questions by phone or email. We'll be happy to assist you, and there will be no consultation fee. To contact us, you can either go to our website, which is trusts with an S, unlimitedllc.com. Our email address is trusts with an S, unlimitedllc@gmail.com. And our phone service is 307-274-5600. 4122. Again, to listen to a recent call that has a detailed explanation of our trust and our turnkey pre- and post-RV program, you can go to our call on YouTube. Go to YouTube and then go to Trust Unlimited, our call of March 23rd and our call of March 30th. Either one, both of them actually have good information about what's going on in Iraq, but both also have a detailed explanation of our trust package and our program to assist you, and both also have some lengthy and informative Q&As as well. We will be back next Wednesday. Certainly, if something of a dramatic nature were to happen between now and then, we'll try to get out an emergency email and schedule an emergency conference call. Failing that, we will be back next Wednesday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thanks for listening, everyone, and have a great week. Bye-bye.